Welcome to the Dana Grant Show, where heart-centered stories, authentic connections, real talk, and real action come together. I'm your host, Dana Grant. I'm a life coach, speaker, and believer in the boundless power within every one of us. Each week, we're diving into raw, transformative conversations that not only spark healing, but growth and unshakable clarity. Because you know what? Your story matters. Your voice deserves to be heard, and your purpose is waiting to be fully lived. You're in the right place. Let's begin. Welcome back to the Dana Grant Show, where we have Lisa Miller in the house today. And I'm just going to start off with this. We're not going to do a big intro, but the silent divorce, when good enough isn't enough. And she really we're gonna dive into the silent divorce, what that means, break that up, and what your takeaway is from that. And Lisa, when I interviewed her, I just said we have to have you on the show because she knows what she's talking about. And we don't want to fumble through divorces. We want to have a little bit more information and support. And if you are in this situation and you're listening to this right now, you're going to want to download and you're going to want to take notes and just really hold space for the information that's going to come at you. So, Lisa, welcome to the day. Hey, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh gosh, I mean, I literally have 5 pages of notes that I was downloading, but let's talk about the silent divorce. Let's go, let's dive right in.
All right, let's dive in.
What do people need to know about divorce and why do you call it the silent divorce? Let's talk about that
Mm,
because I know what that means because I've gone through it. But let's talk for the
hmm
people that don't know what that means. Let's talk about that.
So the silent divorce is really before you actually get divorced. It's what's happening at the home within your relationship, within your dynamic, and no one's actually put a name to it until now. So it's when you're living like roommates. It's when your husband comes home and you run to your room and lock the door because you don't actually want to hang out with him, or you get that pit in your stomach and you're like, oh God, here we go. And like you feel like you're walking on eggshells. It's when you are in a relationship and the thought of him even touching you gives you the ick. That's the silent divorce. It's all these like things that are starting to happen that you know are happening, but you don't have a name to it. And you're kind of like, is this normal? Is this what marriage is? Is this just what happens when you've been with someone for a long time and you have kids and you have a life and all these things?
Yeah.
And you kind of fall into these patterns, not really recognizing that, oh my gosh, like the disconnection's growing and it's growing and it's growing and it's growing. And then the resentment's building. But people
Yeah.
don't realize that like all of that's connected. And truly, what essentially is you're emotionally completely checked out, but you're still married. And then we call it the silent divorce because you're divorced, but you're not. You're
And
still
it doesn't
actually
even have
technically
to
married.
necessarily, it doesn't even, and Lisa, tell me if I'm wrong here. It doesn't even have to be the yick it could be just the process. And I think what's going on internally, and again, tell me if I'm wrong, the struggle. And let's talk about the struggle when we start to live this life that going through the
Hmm.
motion, the conversation, there's no building out, there's just tolerating. And maybe it's even peaceful and quiet. And maybe we just think this is the stage on maybe a 25 or 15 or 30-year marriage that, well, this is
Hmm.
just, and why would I leave? Why would I leave a marriage that we've gone
Yeah.
through so much, even when
Hmm.
we know intuitively there's no more connection. There's no more
Yeah.
connection at all. But what is going on in the woman's soul? And I know you
Mm.
can speak on this that they're struggling with.
Yeah. So a lot of times when you're in that place and you're just so emotionally checked out, I wouldn't say it's peaceful. Oh, I would definitely
No,
say
I
there's
meant the
more. There's
circumstances are peaceful. Like you're going through the motions. You're making dinner, you're going to bed, you're saying good
Yeah.
night, you're having coffee. There just isn't any more fighting. There's no more,
Oh,
there's no
yes. When
more
you stop
of,
fighting.
yeah, when you stop
Yeah.
fighting, when you're just
Ooh,
going through the motions as in, hello, how are you? There isn't a lot of depth, but
yeah.
there isn't any confrontation and conflict, is what I
Gotcha.
was talking
Yes.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Right. Which is actually different than peace, right? Because like peace is
Yeah.
actually where you like
Yeah.
actually feel at peace and happy and like things are flowing. What you're talking about, there's no flow, right? It's like you're going through the motions and it seems on the outside, like everything's okay, but on the inside, you feel so lonely. You feel so just disconnected from any kind of real connection. And everything seems very surface level. Most women at some point, whether it be their like late 30s, 40s, 50s, they want depth. They want to like really feel connected to someone. And when you go through life and you start to like really disconnect and you're not having those deeper conversations and you're not really truly in love anymore. So when you say like what's happening in their souls, like they might actually truly love their husband, but they're like that in love feeling of like, oh, like they're my partner for life and like they've got my back. And that
Yes.
we want to do life together and grow together and evolve together kind of has exited the building. There is a loneliness that most women, when they get there, they're like, what's happening? Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm the problem. Maybe this is just what happens in marriage after 20
Exactly.
years
That's a
or,
soul talk I want to talk about is that
yeah,
they're almost gaslighting themselves. And and
100% they're
and
gaslighting
yeah,
themselves.
and then I'm watching friendships,
Hmm.
and I'm not obviously and that have had separate bedrooms for years, and I know this is
Hmm.
a thing, but
Yeah.
and they've lost the intimacy and they've lost the connection and the touch and the feel, and I witness things and I'm like, how is this viable? But there's never going to be a divorce because
Mm.
because that situation supports, she's put in the time, he's sacrificed, and it's like this is where we've landed and this is where we're going to stay. Let's talk about
Hmm.
that. Is it and I mean there's no right or wrong,
Hmm.
okay, not okay, but let's talk about it because no one
Yeah.
wants to talk about what's going on when we shut that door and how we're living.
Yeah. So if two people have decided like okay this is it and I'm like if they don't actually work on it, they're literally slowly dying inside because what happens with at
Okay,
least
let's slow down around that. Even I'm gonna interject. Even with the
yeah.
trauma bond, I know I'm not trying to complicate it,
Mm.
but if there's a trauma bond there and they're like, I can't leave, and they're all over the place, is that still the
Do
same?
they, I mean, a trauma bond's a little bit different. So a trauma bond is like so hard to walk away from because they're addicted to the highs and they're addicted to the lows, and they literally feel like they can't breathe when they try to end it. So then they just they're on this like endless cycle of like pain and pleasure and pain and pleasure. Even if the pleasure is just a little bit, it's like enough. It's like they're breadcrumbing, right? So
Or
they're
do they
getting
talk
just
themselves into the pleasure? Do they make up
yeah. Well,
like
they're like okay,
moments
like
that are like
yeah,
this is worth it, because
yeah.
I need this the what and I think the one word and what drew me to you was the safety of a relationship, the safety of marriage.
Hmm.
And what would
Well,
that
and the
look like? Is it
comfortability.
the what?
They're just so comfortable, right? So our
Yes.
nervous
So comfortable.
system, yeah, so our nervous system will always go to a familiar hell because it's what it knows instead of an unfamiliar heaven. Now, logically, we want the heaven. No, logically, we
Yeah.
want the good, right? But our nervous system doesn't know it, so it doesn't think it's safe. So the work, the inner work that like the deeper work I do with my clients is like, let's make the unfamiliar familiar so that that like trauma bond is no longer attractive because we'll keep going back to it because our bodies, our nervous system's like, oh, we know this hell. Like it's good. Well, we can deal with
Oh,
it. We
oh, I
know the
know
other
this one
shoe's going
so
to drop.
well. I know this one.
Yep.
So, okay, so there they are. What, how can they pivot? And I know this is the genius work you do in the world, and I know because I've done deep dive research on you.
Hmm.
What are two things without giving away, all I mean, I know it's a process, but I believe in easy. We choose easy, we choose hard. What are two easy steps that they can do right now? They're listening to this, they're identified, their head is nodding. They're like, my God, that's my life. You're talking about me. They might even say, oh my God, I know you. You're talking about me. I'm not. By the way, I'm not. I'm not. Someone I'm talking about never listens to my show, so it's not you. Um, what's two things that they can do right now? Is it that easy? Can you give them two tips?
Two tips to do what though?
To identify and make the shift into the support that they need
Okay. So
to
first is
challenge to challenge
yeah.
their stories, to challenge
Okay.
their stories.
Okay. So the first thing for anyone who's listening is awareness. Like if you're aware that you're on this cycle, if you're aware that like you're in this silent divorce where you're like, oh gosh, like that's me,
Mm.
pause and be like, okay, like, am I truly happy? Or am I just in this because this is what's familiar? Right. So the first thing is like awareness. The second thing is thinking about, all right, like, how long
Mm.
have I been doing this? Right. If I have like,
Mm.
if every time your husband comes home and you're running to your room and you're not really being present for your kids and your life and all of that, like, how long have you been on that cycle? And
Well, what
then what
about
I would,
what
go
about
ahead.
this? Not to interrupt, but what about this? They're in that cycle. They're in the room watching TV. Perhaps he's in the living room or wherever he is, and
Mm-hmm.
you're noticing, and you say, "Hey, I'm noticing that every room I'm in, you're not in." And they're like, "That's not true. That's not true." And they're like, okay." How can they challenge that kind of gaslighting and drop in and own their truth? Because you know as well as I do that owning their truth is everything
Mm-hmm.
through this process. And that is the
Yeah.
most difficult thing I see them do because they're leaning in. This is my rock. This is my person. I hear it all the time. This is how can I know better than the longevity of what we've created? And then they start all over again.
Yeah. So I think it's writing it down, right? Because like once you put pen to paper and you're like, okay, like you start to I tell all my clients to do this, do a pattern journal, right? So like maybe like once a week, you're like, okay, every time I'm in the living room and you're in the bedroom, you start to write it down. And then you go to your partner
Mm.
and you're like, look, like for the past week, I've been like just kind of keeping track. So like, because I want to like make sure like I'm not just making this up. Every single night, you go to the living room, I go to the bedroom. We're not spending any time together. Babe, I miss you. Like, how can we work on this? How can we
Ooh, I like
figure
what
this
you
out
just
together?
said. You said something very, very important right there. Instead of challenging them with,
Hmm.
I'm here, you're there, and then the gaslighting comes in, and then you just shut down because it isn't even worth the fight. But you said
Hmm.
something, you pivoted in the middle of that.
Hmm.
Babe, I miss you.
Yeah.
The vulnerability of asking for what
Let
you
your
need.
let your walls down, right?
Yeah.
And you're saying, like, look, like I'm not fully blaming you or me. Like we both got here, right? But
Yeah,
if
we
you want
both
the
got
marriage
here.
to work, like you both have to work on making it work too. It can't be one
Yeah.
sided. It can't be one side always being like, hey, like I'm noticing this, this, and this is what I'm gonna do to change it. It's like, how can we change this together? How can we reconnect if that's what you're wanting, right? If you're like,
Right.
we need to find each other again in this,
Yeah.
but these are all the things that are happening that like we're
Right.
so far apart.
Well, we just talked about before we hopped on that statistically, I love numbers, and anyone that's listening and follows the Dana Grant show knows I know I love statistics. Fourth of July is Freedom Day. A lot of women
Hmm.
drop into freedom and what that feels like, and I'm going to end my life. I'm going to blow up my
Hmm.
world in order to get the freedom that I want because I don't have any
Yeah.
freedom in my marriage.
Hmm.
And so statistically, right now, I think this podcast is and this conversation is more warranted and more valuable than ever because women are challenging the freedom in their life. Do I have freedom?
Absolutely.
Do I have what I need? I call it the
Hmm.
you said that the silent divorce. I often look into the silent workload of what they're carrying, the silent
Hmm.
workload of the laundry, the imbalance of what it
Yeah.
is that they're doing, and they're like, I'm not going to do it anymore. And
Yeah.
what do you have to say about that?
Well, I think like women in general, like the roles of what the wife and the husband used to do 100 years ago has changed so much, right?
Right.
And so now we have to have full-time jobs just because that's the world we live in. And we still have to be the full-time mom. And we have to be cooking and cleaning and all the things. Like at the end of the day, we get tired, right? So when I hear like, oh, women, we file more for divorce than men, it's because at the end of the day,
Yeah.
we're like, we're doing a lot. And if the
Yeah.
man's not like stepping up and being like, hey, like I want to be in this with you, we have too much on our shoulders, right? And most of us, to be honest, like most of my clients, they get married when they're in their early 20s, mid 20s, by their 40s, they're a different human. And
Well, that was
want
me. I was 23, and by
that's
24 I
me.
had my first baby, and at 25, 26 I had my second, 18 months apart. By 27 I was divorced.
Yeah.
I mean, literally it just blew up because
Yeah.
there was just absolutely no communication and so much angst.
Well,
And
because I don't think we know how to communicate in our 20s. No one teaches us that in school. Like, oh, these
I,
are good communication schools for real relationships.
I
So then
knew
we
nothing. I knew I
no.
mean I came out of trauma, and we talked about that before, an alcoholic father, a divorce, my parents divorced when I was 7. I had no
Mhm.
tools. Um,
Yeah.
but what's interesting, and since I interviewed you for the podcast, something has happened. And I want to talk about this too because you just brought it up. I just spent a month working out of Florida. I'm in California. I flew to Florida. My daughter, I have a new grandson, Luca,
Oh, congrats. Oh.
who is 4 months old. We can put pictures in the comments because I know you're all going to want to see. I mean, I'm one of those.
Mhm.
I'm in the airport saying, "Look at my grandson, Luca." I never thought I'd do that, but I call myself a degamma. But my daughter, being 38, very private life. She's married to a professional. He got a lot of maternity leave. She owns a business, and then they have they're in their late 30s, they have Luca. I
Hmm.
went and spent a month there. I wanted to be supportive, but I'm watching the rhythm. He diaper changes.
Hmm.
He does all the,
He
I
steps
mean,
up.
he's a friggin' chef. I mean, I don't ever want to cook again. I just want to go back and have him make me dinners every night and buy me bags of cherries and ask me what I want because I'm like, I am in heaven. But
Hmm.
I'm watching the balance, the ebb and flow, what she needs, he's willing to support.
Hmm.
I can hear them in the guest bedroom getting up at night. When she gets up, he gets up. He changes and
Mm.
then he hands the baby, Luke,
Very different.
not the baby, Luca, so she can nurse. And
Hmm.
there was something really beautiful about that. And his stepping up, I
Well, it's a
did
true
not
partnership.
experience. Yeah.
Right. See, that's a partnership so that
The
they can
world
grow
is
together.
changing, and
Amazing.
I wasn't
It's
aware of
beautiful.
it. I thought that I actually thought that when I got there, I was going to save the day. I was going to step in and do everything because that's what I had to do when she was born. Everything,
Yeah.
everything, food,
Hmm.
shopping,
Yeah.
diaper changes, and I remember him saying, "When she's bigger, I will step in, but she's too
And that
little."
happens often. Like that
Yeah.
happens often because like men don't know what to do or
Yeah. And then
they
no
just don't have good
shame.
examples.
Yeah, but
So I mean, I love that that happened. That's amazing.
yeah, I mean it put an illumination and a twist on this, and how can women ask if they're not getting that? My daughter's a powerhouse. I mean, but a gentle soul as well. I, I never talk about her because she's so private, but hopefully she won't blast me for this. But I admired both of them so much. My level of
Mm.
respect went up like tenfold. It was like it
So
was
good.
remarkable to watch, all of it.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
but that being said, how can women step into perhaps they're thinking of a divorce because they're not getting their needs met? What can they do
Yeah.
to ask? Ask.
Just
I always
ask.
say put a
Yeah.
demand on the universe, and that's a universal law. But people are like, well, what does that look like? And I'm like, I got to break this down and simplify again. Ask for what you
So
need. Ask for what you need.
yeah. But like in a nice way. Like it's like I think what people goes so wrong is like they put the other person on the defense and then it turns into a fight. So then nobody wants to ask for anything.
Yeah,
But if
and
you're just like,
demand.
I've,
I
yeah,
do
so
all
like that's
this, you don't do anything, and
right,
then there's a war.
right? It blows up. But like if you start with like, that's where I feel statements are so powerful because
Oh,
it's like, I
so
feel,
let's slow down around that on what women can just step in and take your words and apply them because I think
yeah.
there's nothing more powerful than mantras or things that I learned from a long time ago. Like, how's that working for you? I mean, I learned it from Love and Logic, and I
Hmm.
started memorizing because my verbiage was dysfunctional and came out of chaos,
Yeah.
and I
And I think
started
most
learning.
do.
Yeah, and I started learning a better way to do it, even though it made everyone angry. I'm like, oh, maybe I should. But what verbiage can they utilize or simple language? It's hard when you're exhausted, angry,
Yeah,
and in marriages it can be exhausting that we take children off the plate.
sure.
Two
I mean,
people
and there's so
working
much
full
resentment.
time.
Like if you're thinking about divorce, like resentment is really big at that
Oh
point.
yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
really hard to even like ask for what you want when like you're just so tired.
Yeah.
But what I would invite someone to do, I have a client who literally was thinking that like her marriage was unsavable. She was like, I like we are so far gone.
I
We're
was
in
just
two
going to
different
ask you that.
places.
How many show up and say, "I can't save it. Help me with an exit
Yeah.
plan," and you
Oh, a lot.
actually
Save
reboot
it.
it? What is the
Yeah.
percentage of
Yeah.
that? So it does.
I mean, it does. I've saved a lot of marriages in my time. I would say like 30% to the 70% that actually do leave, but 30% do get saved. But this particular one
That's
that I'm thinking of,
huge. That's
it's
huge.
good. It's amazing. And
Yeah.
and they all come to me thinking it's over. I mean, at
Yeah.
least most of them, right? And she came to me, she's like, I don't think it's savable. And like literally, I'm not joking, all she really needed was a break. I'm like, you are asking, you're coming to me saying like you need a divorce because she thought like having every other weekend to herself sounded so amazing because she just needed a break. I'm like, why don't we just start with you taking a break? Like say to your husband, babe, you work really hard. I work really hard. I'm just noticing I'm depleted and I'm not showing up as my best self. It would mean so much to me if I could
Yeah.
have 1 week in a month where I just have like some me time. Maybe like to go to
Hmm.
the spa, to maybe one night at a hotel by myself. Like, let's try that on before we run to divorce. And she was like, I never even thought of that.
Resentment is big. I mean, I think
The
resentment is
death of all marriages.
yeah, I would say it's yeah. So in order if you're feeling so what you're really saying here, Lisa, is if people are feeling resentful, they can pivot and do one thing, ask for what they need. And if someone
Right
says, "Well,
there.
we can't afford a hotel out, we can't," there can be things. It has to be an open
Absolutely.
discussion on the resentment that both are feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Not easy when people are, and how far can that go before we can pull it back from the ledge? How soon should the minute they feel
Mm.
resentful, or should they let it build? I mean, I know because we
I mean,
know.
look, I think if like you're aware enough to realize the resentment's starting, nip it in
Yeah,
the butt. Absolutely. But most people let it get really big before they say something. That's just how
yeah,
humans are.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I will say this for women, we will fight and fight and fight to keep our marriage because we really want our families to stay together.
yeah.
If at some point you realize you're fighting, it's really important to then like step up and say, hey, I'm going down this road and like we got to figure this out together and talk about it. And maybe it's couples therapy, maybe it's just having a game plan of different things to work on. I would strongly suggest both people get their own coach or therapist because working on yourself will allow you to feel more comfortable talking to each other. I mean, basically, the communication is broken down so you don't feel comfortable in having those bigger conversations.
So you work
But
with women, but do you work with the couples as well, or are you?
so I don't personally work with couples, but I do.
Yeah,
I work with men. It's always surprising
right.
to people. They're like, "You work with men?" I do. Like the men who are like
Yeah.
wanting to like really make their marriages better, and like, or if they're ready to leave too, but they're not really sure. Like they want a woman's point of view. Like I will work with them as well. But the majority of my clients are women.
I love that you said that because in the beginning, I didn't consider myself a relationship coach, but I worked with men and women, and then I decided I would work with them together until one day they went to Italy for 4 weeks, and then I had an Italy retreat. He paid for her to come to my retreat, and then sent me
Hmm.
a message and said, "I'm leaving. I'm never coming back. I'm moving her out. I want you to coach and hold space for her." And I'm like, "I'm at a women's retreat." I mean, it was I was
It's tricky.
I couldn't believe any of it. And
Yeah.
that was the end. And I always got triangulated
Yeah.
in being the bad guy because I was challenging and I just said no more of this. It's complicated, but I do advocate for two people getting their own and then coming together and saying, hey, this
Hmm.
is what I know, and
Hmm.
and this is what I've learned, and not even know, this is what I've learned. This is, because
Well,
I think,
I think it's really important for each person to have their own safe person
yeah,
and then also be
yeah,
working together. I mean, the only way I've really
yeah,
seen any marriage really get quote unquote saved when it's going down is each person is working on
yeah,
themselves to better themselves, no matter if they stay
yeah,
or go, which is amazing for both people. And then to
yeah.
be working together to be like, can we find each other when we're in this new version of ourselves? Can we elevate each other? Can we grow together from this place?
Mm.
And some people can and some people can't. So, but it's important that each person has their own safe person to talk to when they're in that place.
I wrote down a question that I'm trying to read my upside down backwards handwriting. But it is, what is the biggest fear people face? Because you work with men and women, what is the biggest fear where they're like, I think it's difficult for people to say I'm afraid, but we know
Mm.
fear. We can identify fear. But what do you think is the biggest thing that they fear?
I would say in my role, everyone talks about fear because that's like what they're coming to me for. I would say for both men and women, it's hurting the kids,
Hurting the
not
kid.
having the relationship with the kids. I mean, men stay, honestly, because they feel that if they get divorced, their relationship with their kids will go to hell, right?
So it's not
Women
about I'm going
stay.
to lose half the house. I'm going to lose my pension. I'm going to lose. I'm in the state of California, so it's 50-50.
Yeah.
And the biggest fear, in my life with the people I've experienced, it is I'm not going to lose 50% of what
Yeah.
I built. And I'm like,
I
well,
mean, that's definitely there.
yeah,
That is definitely there. But I would say like what keeps people very stuck is like, oh my gosh, like I don't want to do this to my kids. How can I be selfish? How can I blow up my whole life just because I'm unhappy? Society casts a very black cloud over divorce. And it's like, if you do
yeah.
this, you're gonna mess your kids up for life. And like that kind of
Even now, in the
weight.
world we live in now,
Yes.
is that still a thing?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Wow.
it's been proven not to be, but people don't know that. And people don't realize that staying in an unhappy marriage does just as much damage, right?
I did
So
just statistically hear that staying in an unhealthy marriage damages children, and children beg for
yeah.
that to end. And um,
And when I say unhealthy, like that doesn't mean there's always fighting. It just means that there
no,
isn't really actually love in the house, right?
right?
You can
They're not.
again love your spouse, but if you're not in love with them, what you're showing your kids isn't love,
I
isn't
was
true
just gonna
love.
say, kids have like these radars that they pick up on
Hmm.
everything, even when everything is being done. I want to quickly go through some questions that I wrote down, and I said, when loneliness lives inside of a marriage, you talk about and you describe when when you're married to a nice man, but you feel deeply lonely. Um, how can I can feel that negotiation. He's a great guy. How could I possibly leave? What can you say to those women that know that it's just not working?
So I would say a few things. One, if you're not actually in love with him, you're not being kind.
Ah,
He deserves to be with someone that actually truly loves him, that he
mm,
truly loves. You're denying him a truly happy life. So if he's a really good guy, he will meet someone that will
right.
truly love him. Like give him that opportunity. If that's
When,
not you, that doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just
yeah,
means he's not your person. And
right.
that's okay.
Well, when and how can you identify? And I think this for a lot of women, they need to know this. When can you identify when you've really lost yourself in this, and that you're like,
Mm.
this is no longer where I need to be. I'm lost in this process. How can we help them identify this?
So I think if you're again like one of those people that your husband goes to grab your hand and you're like, I don't even want to grab his hand, or if you're realizing you don't really want to spend any alone time, you're only spending time as a family, if you're realizing your values aren't in alignment anymore, if you're realizing you aren't actually present for your kids and you're not, just like on a Sunday night, if you're like running to your room because you don't want to hang out because you don't just want to be in that energy, you've lost yourself.
Well, let's talk a little bit deeper on that because I put what role does self-worth play in making difficult relationship decisions? Is this a self-worth where they can't ask for what they want? Is that relevant?
It could be. I mean, that's a personal like discovery question, but yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, like if we don't feel worthy in being in a happy relationship, we will stay in an unhappy relationship.
So, how can
So,
women begin reconnecting with their own voice after years and perhaps years and years and years of putting everyone else first? We know this as
mm,
women, we put everyone else first. How can they find their own voice, their own ownership, and actually hold space for that? Because I believe that's a huge,
yeah.
huge pivot when we start to heal and
I would say
recover.
do the deeper inner work for that one because that's deep. That's like there's a subconscious limiting belief that is circling around that's like saying like you're not good enough, you're not worth it, you don't deserve to be happy. You don't
Yeah.
like this is as good as it's ever gonna get. That's like what that's the story they are buying into at that point. So they
Yeah.
need to actually like get in a room with a professional, a life coach, a therapist, someone who can be like, okay, like let's slow this all down. Let's become
Yeah.
aware of what your actual limiting beliefs are, heal it at the root, wherever it started,
Yeah.
usually childhood somewhere. And then they can let it go,
I would say
create new
not
neural
somewhere,
pathways.
always.
Yeah.
I'm always saying core wound, core fear. So
Yeah.
this, what you do is manage and repair and or dissolve
Mm-hmm.
peacefully divorce.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I'm the deep dive prior. I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna dive as deep as we can to and then disassemble
Yeah.
and break apart all the pieces and either
Mm-hmm.
put them back together or say this isn't going to be put back together. And then
Yeah.
I'm huge on referral. I'm huge.
Yeah.
Like I got you this far. This is where you
Mm-hmm.
are. This is where your
Yeah.
acceptance is. Now you need someone like Lisa who
Yeah.
can help you navigate this because that's not my jam. That's not what I
Right.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been through it, but you don't want me attaching my stuff to that because
Totally.
I have stuff to attach to that. And not that I'm in active trauma, but you don't have to be in active trauma to replay a story and
Sure.
project your
Yep. I was
own
gonna say that.
stuff with
Yeah.
it. Choosing clarity over fear.
Mm.
Unpack that for me. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to ask the next. Choosing clarity over fear. What does that look like?
So that will actually probably go back to self-worth as well.
So well, let's go a little bit further. Being, I don't like the word stuck because I don't believe people are ever stuck. I believe situations are, but
Mm-hmm.
they have a decision of staying and leaving,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that clarity, fear, staying, leaving, staying, leaving. What can you drop into and share that might give them some illumination on that, where they can say, "Oh my gosh, that was brilliant."
Yeah. So I think if we have a lot of fear, we will stay very stuck in that situation because the
Are we gonna
fear
leave if we
wins.
stay in fear? Are we gonna stay in fear?
You have to work through your fear. So this morning, actually, I was working with a client who is so scared of hurting her husband because he's a good guy, right? And I said, he's a good guy
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you're an
We don't
amazing
want to make
woman.
anyone wrong here. We didn't, and not to
Right.
interrupt, but this isn't about man shaming or what do they call it, man planning
No.
or whatever all
Yeah.
that stuff is. It's about these are good guys, but it's
Yeah.
just not working,
They're
and
just
they
not
can't.
aligned.
Yeah, it's just
They're
not
not
aligned.
aligned anymore. And she doesn't want to be the villain. Right. So she's like, maybe if I do this,
Ah,
like then he'll be the one to leave. And I'm like, he doesn't want to leave because
oh,
he doesn't want this
ouch,
divorce. Right.
ouch.
So she's like, keeps staying, hoping he gets to the place where
Mm,
he'll leave her. So at some point, I'm like, the
mm,
fear is winning. And if you're
mm.
okay being here in a year from now, you gotta you can stay. But if you're thinking about next summer, you're in the same place you are right now, we got to start to work on your own self-worth and your own self-confidence to know that like it's okay
Yeah.
to leave and it's going to be a hard year, but you're also going to get through it. There's a you on the other side that is waiting for you with open arms. But
Mm.
you got to trust the process. I see it in the background.
Yeah,
Trust that
yeah.
like you
Trust the
will
process.
get there.
Well, I
right?
always say you're married, and this might be very relevant today. I talk about it all the time. Say married to the process,
Mm-hmm.
divorce the outcome.
Yeah.
You stay present in the process and you divorce the outcome of anything that you project and see. And it's in my book in The Truth Within the Lie, because a lot of times people spiritually bypass the moments that we need to stay connected to, and but they want the outcome. I want to save my marriage. I want to save, but that's not relevant. What you need to do is be very present in your process.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
I think my last question for you, well, there's so much I wrote down here, but and we could spend hours because I think that the unpacking here, there's so much.
So
But
much.
I'm just there's so much, but I'm just going to divert them to you because I'm like a puppy, so excited to talk to you about this, and you're so knowledgeable, and so I mean, I was so enthusiastic, I might have cut you off, so I'm going to send them to you, but. What feels like love in your life right now?
What do I love?
Yeah, I'm pivoting from
Mm.
relationships, work, and asking you what feels like love in your life. Like, why would people work with you, and what feels like love in your life right now, and what do you believe sets you apart from anyone else?
Well, God, there's too many questions there. Okay.
I know that's
So
three.
let me
I know.
start
I went bing,
with
bing, bing.
yeah. So, okay. So what feels like love to me? So love to me, one is like I love myself. I think that's the first and most important. I think if we don't love ourselves, like we get stuck in very toxic situations. We accept behavior that isn't truly what we want. We let other people
Do.
dictate who we are, what we need, or how we should be. I had to learn how to love myself. So I think self love is like top, top, top. In that, I mean, I have three amazing children who are the loves of my life and like they fill me up on a daily basis. I have an amazing fiance who I love with my whole heart. And he has shown me what like true love and partnership is. I don't know that I really ever had that prior and like what that looks like and how that feels and how that moves. None of that is possible if I didn't have self love in the beginning. Um,
Yes.
why would someone work with me over someone else? Someone just asked me that the other day.
Oh,
I
not
think
even someone
energetic.
else, but why would they choose you? What illuminates and what do you have to offer that I believe energy is everything, vibration is
Yeah.
everything. I was drawn to
Hmm.
you immediately. I mean,
Thank you.
I have tons of people that reach out and we're like, when we met, it was like we didn't even finish. I'm like, yes, this has to be done. But why would people choose you? I mean, I chose you because of your knowledge. You're not even that you're Aquarius and you're calm and methodical and a deep thinker and a processor, but I believe that you are a deep thinker.
Hmm.
My perception is, and that's the outside looking in, is that you're thoughtful, you're invested. It isn't
Yeah,
about making money, it's about doing the work that you're called to do in the world. But am I right about that?
absolutely. 100%. I think for me, it's like I really want my clients to be happy. I don't care what they end up doing. I want them to be happy. I want them to have the best self-confidence and self-worth and self-love possible. And that's my life's journey is to make sure that like each of my clients leave feeling more filled up and more themselves and want the best for themselves, whether they stay or go. Like that part I don't care about.
Yeah.
I think, but just like you said, like energetically, you have to feel like aligned and feel like, okay, like I've been through it. I've been divorced for 9 years. I've done my own deeper work. It's magical. It truly is. Like if you're willing to lean in and like let yourself like do the deeper work, who
Yeah.
you are on the other side will be the best version of yourself. And I love watching it. I love seeing like you definitely see people like they look different, they glow, they're like
Oh
they
yeah.
find their inner happy and like it's the best work in the
What are
world.
the challenges that came up for you when you were going through this that you know that come up for other people? Because we are all connected and we are not so different that, oh, it came up for me and it's never going to come up for you.
Hmm.
What comes up in this process of rediscovering and reinvent? And I can see what's on the you literally are walking the walk and you've got a fiance. I wouldn't say reinvent. I don't like that word, but you renewed your vow to your self-love, your children. It's interesting. I had the 9 years before the second marriage. And how old are your
Mm,
children right now?
19, 18, and 15.
Love that. I love that.
Three
So,
boys.
oh, that's right. We talked about that. You have three boys. I have three
hmm
girls.
hmm
I don't know which one is easier. I always thought it would be nice to
I
have a
think
boy
boys.
too. Yeah.
I think
Well, I
boys
have a
are easier.
grandson. I have Luca now, and Luca, I am putting, I'm banking on Luca, who
Yeah.
is very attached to his DeGamma, and
Mm,
well, I've been
so
flying
cute.
back to Florida from California 5 times since January, so I'm there. I'm hoping I can continue this every 8 weeks to keep that
Love that.
connect. Well, keeping that connection and
Yeah.
growth, which I believe is so important, so important.
Love it.
Um, I had other questions, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about some quotes that you said that I think that women hear and tell themselves, and I'm hoping they can tell themselves because I want this to be a mantra of sorts. I could have written that out, but I'm going to leave them with this along with some questions after this. But this is, I pulled these quotes from you.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to justify your unhappiness for it to matter.
Mm-hmm.
Huge. Loneliness inside a marriage is still loneliness. And you know
Mm-hmm.
what's so interesting is that okay, well, I'm gonna do it if I can find the page. Oh, I opened it. It wasn't there. I had a poem I read yesterday in my community that was very simple to that, with just the simplicity of what needs to be talked about, and how complicated women make it. How complicated
Yeah.
they make it.
So,
Um, where did that just go? Did I just pick up your? Yes, I did. There we go.
hmm
Nope, that's not you. There we are back again. That was bizarre. I just put you in the poetry book. So loneliness
oh.
inside of marriage is still loneliness. Being married to a good person doesn't mean abandoning yourself. Now, I'm reading these quotes from Lisa because I really want to see if this identifies. And if you're nodding your head and identifying, perhaps you need to reach out and
Mhm.
schedule a clarity call or a discovery call or a call with Lisa so you can understand what it is you're going through, because I think sometimes it's difficult to identify
Oh,
alone.
yeah. I
Um,
think, I mean, that's why we have coaches and therapists. We can't see our blind spots.
yeah,
That's why they're
but we
blind.
but we also have coaches and therapists out there, and a new world in 2026, um, where we're clearing up 2025 of an enormous amount. I mean, 85,000 coaches that didn't have the substance, the degrees. And I'm not saying they have to have the degrees, or like I said, someone went through a divorce and they're going to be a divorce
hmm
coach, but they don't
Yeah.
have the depth and the knowledge to take you
No
where you want to
knowledge.
go.
Yeah.
Use your power of discernment. If it doesn't feel right, it doesn't, but it doesn't mean
Yeah.
there aren't great people out there that just can sell a great story. But I think that the power of discernment will always see through, question, and go deeper in research, like I did with Lisa. And then she also said clarity begins when you finally listen to your heart. That
Absolutely.
that spoke to me. Heart-centered action. The ego will always twist you,
hmm
divide, separate, judge. The heart will not. And then choosing yourself isn't selfish; it's honest. And that was one of my biggest struggles in my life, and I wrote about it in my
hmm
book. And when I read that, I'm like, synergy,
Yeah.
because I think it's difficult for women to choose
oh,
uh,
yeah.
themselves.
But that's
And
also self love.
and not feel, oh my God, I'm so selfish. I'm choosing myself
hmm
for the weekend. My children need me. My husband's saying he can't do it. I must put them first. I hear it all the time. And I'm like,
hmm
I just shake my head and say, okay, I'm gonna challenge that. And I'm gonna divert and send you to Lisa. So, okay, let's talk about how they can find you. What hub do you hang out in? Is it Instagram, LinkedIn,
Mm-mm.
website? discovery
Yes.
calls. Let's. Are you speaking at any events, and
Yes.
where are you
So
located at? I mean, I know that that was a lot, but just tell me where you're
So
hanging.
Instagram and Facebook, it's lisamiller.coach. You can find me at either one. You can send me a DM at either one. I also have a website. I think it's clarity.lisamillerrelationshipcoach.com. It's really long.
We need,
Yeah,
hey,
those are,
girl, you know what? Being who I am, we need to simplify that so people can
yeah,
find you.
I
People
know.
need to, well, I bring people on. I need people to find you. And we got to
Yeah.
make that, we
The
got to make that
easiest way is
easy.
Instagram.
I'm always
Instagram
saying,
is probably the easiest way. You can
yeah.
send me a DM. My website's on there as well. I'm not doing any speaking events coming up. I have a retreat coming up if anyone's interested in that.
Ooh,
It's
where's
in
that located?
Sedona in September. So like that's like perfect. If you're in this place, the people who are on it right now is amazing. As of today, I have I think 3 spots left. So if you want to come, come. It's gonna be unbelievable. My retreats are next level. They're so so good. I love them. Um,
I
so much
love that you
clarity,
just
so much
I
healing.
love you just claimed that. My
Yeah,
retreats are so good
they
that
are.
I love that because it's not like,
They're
oh,
good.
come one come. It's like I'm owning it in Sedona.
Yeah,
You go through those red rocks and you
it's
are
next
in.
level.
Oh, it's next level. It's the
Yeah,
vortex. I love
yeah.
that. So
It is a vortex.
we'll have
It's so good.
the deets on that. What else? Anything else going? You got a retreat
That's
going
it.
on?
And then I have my one-on-one program. So that I mean, then those
Yeah.
are that's it.
Well, that's not it.
It's
That's a
simple.
lot. You're holding space for a lot. So it's done online, correct?
Yep,
And where are you located
everything.
again?
I'm in California,
Where
Southern
at Cal?
California though.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm in LA. Yeah,
Yeah, no wonder I thought, where is she? Because Southern California and Northern California, where we are two different worlds. I'm
it's
above
like two
San Francisco.
states. It should be yeah, it should be 2 states.
Yeah, I wasn't keen on what do they call it, the Jefferson whatever. I don't want it to be political, but it does. There is a
Mm-hmm.
separation of state, although
Yeah,
we do send most of the water from Northern California to Southern California. So I do
I'm
believe,
sure.
yeah, I do believe there's a lot of connection there and a lot of political. I can't help but be in politics most of my life and then separate that.
And then stop. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you know the gig and you're like, it's never going to happen. But
It's in you.
it's two different worlds. But
Mm-hmm.
I really, really thank you. Thank you, Lisa, for being
Mm,
here. I would have
thank
liked to have
you.
been calm and methodical and I always say that quiet authority, which you have as an Aquarius and as a Libra, I'm like a puppy jumping around, interrupting you, being so excited. But I am really excited. I'm really excited to divert traffic and people your way because I
Thank
think
you.
that not only do you help people navigate through divorce, but I think and what I wrote down was that you help people navigate through the not only the silent divorce to identify it, but how to find your way back.
Hmm.
I think that you're holding space for both, which not a lot of people are. And
Yeah,
it's not an either or, it's an and. We have options.
hmm
And thank you.
absolutely.
Thank you for
You're
sharing
welcome.
that. All right,
Thank you for
everyone.
having me.
Well, I think it's been brilliant. I can't even believe an hour's gone by. Lisa Miller in the house, you are a genius at what you do. If you
Thank you.
can't find her, we're going to give you all the deets, all the nuggets, all the recap, all of the links. Just reach out if you can't find them, but we're going to offer all of those. And until next time, thank you for joining the Dana Grant Show. And what a blessing today, because I'm going to give a little epiphany of what came in today. I'm not even going to share it until it this episode comes out because it was huge. It was a huge shift. And thank you, Lisa. You're
Thank
amazing.
you.
All right, everyone. Bye for now.